How's it going, y'all? I am a moment before the official start time, so I'm going to lollygag around. That's a word you don't hear very often anymore, isn't it? Lollygag. It's one of them old-fashioned words. My clock says 2:59, so I'm not officially starting the video yet. I'm just setting things up here. We're going to have fun. Just cluing you into that before we actually start. And do I have room to put all three? Yes, I do. I have three little racks of CDs here, so that's my material. Okay, it is now 3 o'clock, so greetings one and all, and welcome once again to Tom's Hit Parade Live. This is it. This is the grand finale of the Skips era of Bargain Bag, my monthly hunt for buried audio treasures in the form of what used to be two mystery CD grab bags from the late Skips Records and CD World each month. Going forward, it will be slightly different. Excuse me. Okay, I'm not going to do the rest of the what used to be my monthly spiel because it's all messed up. It's not going to be what's happening this month. This is going to be a little bit different. I used to, between opening two bags, I would talk about a Spotlight CD, but I'm going to not be opening, okay, just forget what I said. I'm going to be talking about first breaking down the 28 CDs. Used to be, it was usually 14 CDs that I had opened up and listened to the previous month, but I've got 28 to break down for you. Then after that, I will be doing my Spotlight CD, which I normally used to do between the opening two bags. But after that will be the grand finale of this grand finale, and I will be counting down my 15 favorite bargain bag CD discoveries of the year. Oh, and actually after that will be the grand finale of the grand finale of the grand finale. I will be opening the first of the new era of mystery CD grab bags for you. So that will be the very end of the video. So let's go ahead and get started before I waste any more time. In rough order from cast-offs to keepers, and actually starting with the ones I did not listen to because I already own. There were actually 3 of those in, if you'll recall, in last month's bargain bag. There are 3 CDs that I opened up that I already own in my collection. I'll be mentioning 2 of them here at first. The third one is going to be my Spotlight CD. First off, we have So Much More by Brett Dennen. This guy, if you're not familiar with him, he is a kind of a folk pop artist. He's got a little bit of Bob Dylan in him, as do pretty much all current folk artists do. I mean, they were pretty much all inspired by Bob Dylan, let's face it. But he's got a very interesting voice. His voice is not for everyone. It's got a little bit of a whine to it that sounds derogatory, but it's not meant to be. It's his style. And he does have a very distinctive voice. I've mentioned before, I'm very much into the idiosyncratic, distinctive voices. And he's got great stuff. I tell you, he has out 7 studio albums, I believe, and I've got all but 1. So Ain't No Reason, the opening track is really, really good on this. Darlin' Do Not Fear is one of the best ones on here. And The One Who Loves You the Most is another standout track on this. So go check out Brett Dennen if you haven't yet. I'm not sure if I have a friend who I could send this to or not who would be into that kind of stuff. I'll have to think about that. The next one I'm going to show you is actually one that I showed as a Spotlight CD. I actually showed 2 Spotlight CDs, this one and its companion volume, early this year, I think it was. This is Heart and Soul, new songs from the TV show Ally McBeal. It was a comedy drama. I can't remember what the actress's name is. She's married to Harrison Ford. She played Ally McBeal, the title character, who was a lawyer, and it was a pretty good show. I only watched about a season of it, but Vonda Shepard, brain fart, was kind of like the music person in charge of the music, or she played a character in the club that the law firm staff hung out in at the end of each day's work. She contributed a lot of original songs and covers that she did of other people's songs to the soundtracks. And this is actually volume 2 in the series. There were 3 or 4 volumes, including at least 1 holiday volume. So that is actually one one holiday CD I don't have, and it's something that I would enjoy because Vonda Shepard reminds me a lot of Melissa Etheridge, but a little bit folkier, a little softer than Melissa Etheridge. Melissa Etheridge was much more rock. So yeah, good stuff. A very good artist. And she's put out several of her own albums, not in the Ally McBeal frame, I guess you'd say. Now, this next CD I did not listen to because, for reasons I will explain in a moment. This is David Jacobs' Strain. This was a locally done CD and one that the artist did himself. And the reason I did not listen to it is because it has a paper label. You're probably not going to be able to tell from. Oh, I don't have my lights on. And actually, because I don't have my lights on, you can see. It was an adhesive label. It's got some bubbling on it, so I was afraid to put this into my CD player. So I did not listen to it. I did not have great hopes for it. Hang on one second. Let me put my lights on. We'll see if that's... yeah, that's a good amount of light. Not too harsh. There we go. That's better, isn't it? Let's shed some light on the subject. The subject is me. Get it? Anyway, on to the CDs that I actually did listen to, the rest of the lot. Here we have Michael Masley, and he is a player of an instrument, the cymbalom, which I had never heard of before. It's kind of like the harpsichord, like the hammer dulcimer. If that means anything to you, it probably doesn't, because I didn't know until earlier this year what a hammer dulcimer was. But pretty, it's okay stuff. Not really. I mean, it's in the cast-offs, obviously. So very laid back, very ambient. So if you like stuff that you can just put on in the background, this is very ambient, kind of meditative stuff. It might be good for meditation if you're into that. So, but yes, this is kind of like a greatest hits collection from like 5 of his selections from what appears to be 5 of his different albums. So not bad, just not my thing. Then we have a dance music compilation, the A&M Underground Dance Compilation. It's called Jam Harder. Not bad stuff. Again, just nothing that really jumped out at me. It has a remix of Suzanne Vega's Tom's Diner by DNA featuring Suzanne Vega. And let's see, who else does it have? The Overweight Pooch is the name of one of the artists. I'd forgotten that until I just read it now. And then we have Steve Harvey, but no, it is not the Steve Harvey that we all know and love, the comedian guy, different Steve Harvey. But yeah, so pretty much, I mean, the reason I'm casting it off is pretty generic dance tracks, nothing really huge. It's been snowing here, so I'm kind of looking out the window, seeing if snow is actually falling at the moment. As you may have heard, up here in Oregon, we're in the first day of probably what sounds like it's going to be several days of on and off snow. So we don't get snow terribly often here in Western Oregon, so I'm kind of happy about it. Anyway, this next one is Sister Machine Gun with their CD single called Nothing. It has 2 mixes of that and 2 B-sides. These guys sound like Rob Zombie, so kind of like industrial metal, basically. And what the track in particular of Rob Zombie that really reminded me of was More Human Than Human. I guess that technically was a White Zombie song, his band. But yeah, not my favorite kind of stuff. I kind of like some industrial rock stuff when it gets into the metal kind of thing. Not terribly fond of it. These next 2 I was really not fond of because, as I've mentioned before, I can listen to some metal. I'm not afraid to listen to any metal or hard rock stuff, but one of the borderlines, the lines that I have drawn in the sand of my brain, is when the lyrics go from singing to screaming. I don't like screamed lyrics. I like the artist, the vocalist, to have an actual note that they're hitting. And these 2 CDs fall into that category, metal with really, really screaming lyrics. This is Pushmen, I believe is the name of the artist, and it is The Sun Will Rise Soon. The Sun Will Rise Soon on the False and the Fair. Interesting title. I like the poetic title of it, but yeah, I listened to 1.5 tracks, and he did nothing but scream. So it's like, sorry, that was enough for me. Honestly, that's the kind of thing that I can only take so much of. And unfortunately, this CD also fell into that category. Antera Bay is, I believe, the name of the artist. Shakedown Tonight is the name of the album. So can't really say much more than that about those two, because it's just one of the things that is most not my thing. Some things are just not my thing. These were not my thing. That's a good way to describe it, isn't it? This next one is, speaking of metal-ish stuff, this stuff is pretty much hair metal. McQueen Street is the name of this band. It is their self-titled record, yes. And I believe this was the only album that they made, at least for like 20 years or something. This was put out in 1991, I believe. The copyright stuff is so small that I can't read it. But yeah, if you like late 80s, early 90s hair metal, you might like this. Then we have two female rock / folk rock singers, kind of like along the same lines, so I'm lumping them together, not to disparage either of them. It's just, they were okay, just not my cup of tea. Heather Nova is this one, and I have heard of her before. I don't know that I've ever listened to any of her stuff until I listened to this album. Oyster is the name of this album. So, sorry, I can't say much more than I am saying, which is essentially nothing about these cast-offs, because, and frankly, I might have bitten off a little bit more than I could chew by doing 4 CD grab bags in 1 month. So, good thing I am not doing that ever again. So yes, if I had listened to fewer CDs, I might have more to say about them. Jill Cohn is this other one, and I'm not sure if she is related to the folk rock singer Mark Cohn or not. I really enjoy Mark Cohn. Jill Cohn, meh. Kind of like with Heather Nova, just not much of anything for me to glom onto on this. And we're almost halfway done here with the breakdown. Here we have DJ Bam Bam with his album Do You Like It Hard? And this one, I normally don't mind, EDM, DJ, club kind of stuff. But this one was all the same tempo, the same beats per minute, and they all kind of blended into each other. So it was like they're separated into, like 39 tracks, but essentially when you play it continuously, it sounds like a big mega mix. Just one track flowing seamlessly into the other, which is pretty cool. If you're hosting a dance party, this would be the thing for it, because the music is uninterrupted. So, but yeah, as far as my stuff that I would keep and listen to and keep in my collection, nah. Then we have Voodoo 155. I think that's the name of the artist, and this is their self-titled album, or the name of the artist is Voodoo and the name of the album is 155. I'm not sure. This is kind of a combination of hip-hop and reggae. Kind of intriguing, but ultimately it's not enough on here to make it memorable and stick in my head enough for me to want to keep. So that empties out one box. Onto the other half. Yes, despite having twice as many CDs as I would normally have, I've only got the same amount or possibly fewer keepers than I would normally have in a 2-bag round. Water break, excuse me. So onto the other half-ish of this bundle. Raúl y Mejía, and this is obviously a Latin rock or Spanish language. Arriba y Lejos is the name of the album. Not bad. It is your typical Mexican, I believe it's Mexican, I'm not sure, pop rock stuff with the accordion in it. The accordion's kind of one of the instruments. So leans toward the folk, I guess you'd say, the Latino folk music. I used to, in my less informed days, that Mexican Spanish language music that you would hear that has a heavy accordion beat, I would call it Hispanic polka. So this is not quite that accordion based, accordion strong stuff. The accordion's a little lighter in this one, but yes. Forgive my, I don't know if that you could call that derogatory, calling it Mexican polka or not. Anyway. Then we have a post-grunge / hard rock group, Stuttering John. I had heard of these guys before, never checked them out until now. Unremarkable. Not that they're bad at what they do, just couldn't find anything yeah, that, what is this, early 90s or mid 90s? This is 1994. That era, especially the post-grunge stuff, is, in my opinion, has been one of the most boring um, eras slash genres of music that I've ever experienced. Then here we have Notorious Nobodies. The Real World is the name of this one. And this is, again, hard rock leaning into hair metal kind of stuff. So I probably could have put this one alongside, what was it, McQueen Street. So, yeah, again, just don't have a lot to say about, about a lot of these. Plus, I kind of want to get through the breakdown so this to not make this video exhaustively long, because I got a lot of ground to cover. Then we have Taken by Trees. I like the name of this band. The name of the album is Open Field, and this is folky kind of stuff, folk pop, folk rock. Female lead vocalist kind of distinguishes it, but still, despite that, just not any really memorable songs on here. So it was on the Rough Trade label. So, and then we have a trip hop group. This is a group called Lamb, and this was their self-titled album. I'm not sure about this one. I have it currently in the keepers. I might keep this one, listen to it once or twice more, just to make sure. But yeah, trip hop is not one of my most appreciated genres. It can all kind of sound samey to me. But yeah, I'm going to set this one in the other stacks and give it one more try, maybe. And then we have what I think qualifies as shoegaze kind of stuff. This is Black Tape for a Blue Girl is the name of the album, of the artist, I believe. As One Aflame Laid Bare by Desire is the name of the album. So, an interesting artist and album name. Excuse me, but yeah, shoegaze is another subgenre that just doesn't, it has to have really have something in it for me to glom onto it, and this was, sad to say, kind of meh. Yeah, just the bargain bag kind of went out with a bit of a whimper, and again, maybe it was just because I overloaded myself with too many CDs. Now we're getting close to the keepers. Some of these I might be keeping more than 3 of these. I don't know. Sometimes I'd like to, sometimes I hesitate to, I get that bit of a FOMO, fear of missing out, if I cast off a CD too quickly, you know. But this one is definitely a cast off. The guy's name is Mark Johnson. He is a smooth jazz artist, and it's good enough, but I have enough CDs that sound pretty much just like this that there's really no reason to keep this. And those are the CDs I'm more attached to. So he's a decent artist. Street Samba is one of these songs on here that kind of had a bit of a funky thing. The one thing about this album is it's pretty strong on the rhythm and stuff, and it is from the mid-90s, 1994. So a couple of the songs have a bit of a New Jack Swing feel to them, which is a kind of a different thing for jazz. You know, you would normally find that in R&B music. So, and then we have one that was a bit of a surprise. I'm kind of surprised because this artist is in a particular bit of notoriety, the good kind of notoriety right now. Anderson .Paak is half of this group, which is called Link Up and Suede, and the name of this album is No Worries. But yeah, it's just, the name Anderson .Paak is really small up here, so if you didn't look closely at the cover, you'd miss. And Knowledge is the other artist in this duo. Interesting stuff. You know, it is, as you would probably imagine, hip-hop, soul, funk kind of stuff. The one problem I had with this was that the beats were a bit asynchronous to this, and that was clearly on purpose. It was part of the feel of the music. It's just, it kind of bugged me. I may listen to this once more just because it's Anderson .Paak. I'm not a huge fan of Anderson .Paak, but I've got one of his albums and one of his collaborative albums that was just put out this year. Gee, I wonder which one that is. So I'll probably give it one more listen. Sometimes if I know what to expect on a second listen, I may grow to become quite fond of it. And yes, because I had 28 CDs, most of these I only had a chance to listen to once. So yet another argument for having fewer CDs in each bargain bag. About time I learned that, huh? Anyway, Next one on here, we're getting close to the keepers. This one may be a keeper. It is Julia Haltigan and the Hooligans. I like the name of the group. This is kind of like throwback folk jazz blues, kind of the small jazz combo things that you'd hear in like these smoky nightclubs and stuff in the 50s and 60s. So it's got a good vibe to it. And I'm definitely going to have to, I'm going to have to keep this one and listen to it once more and see if I enjoy it. This one probably should have been further down because it's definitely a cast-off. This is Jim Brickman, decent artist, but he's kind of a new age instrumental, smooth jazz-ish artist. His key instrument is the piano or the keyboards. This is his album Destiny, and he does have a couple of key artists on here, Carly Simon, and the print is dark blue against black, so they made it nice and easy to read. So I can't read any of the other names, but yeah, I believe this album is, I'm not big on his discography, but I think this album is probably the most that is loaded with significant names as guest artists on it. So I may have to listen to it once more. Excuse me. Then we are coming close to the keepers. We have 5 more left, and 4 of them are definitely keepers. This next one is Colin Ray, a country artist, and this is his album Extremes. I kind of like this one, actually. I think this may be a keeper. Just some of the songs were, they have that humorous country stuff. Hello. Are we here? The picture froze. I wasn't sure if I lost you guys or not. But yeah, that kind of sense of humor that's pretty prominent in country music. This is from 1994 or 96, I can't tell. Lots of mid-90s CDs in this bunch. So, but yeah, decent stuff. That's My Story is the title track, is the lead-off track. The hook on the song is That's My Story, and I'm sticking to it and stuff. And Nothing a Little Love Won't Cure. And then we have Angel of No Mercy. So some of the wry sense of humor that it was prominent in country music at that point, as I said. And then we have, these are the keepers, as I said. This is the jazz album. This is conducted by Simon Rattle, who is a conductor and musician, with the London Sinfonetta, as well as a few jazz artists accompanying them. Pretty good stuff. This has the full 16-minute or something version of Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue, which is not very common on a lot of albums. Usually they just provide excerpts. But a lot of Great American Songbook standards in here, a handful of those. And it's not your typical classical compilation, but it's, not your, it's kind of a bit of a highbrow jazz compilation, I guess you'd say. That's kind of a good way to categorize it. Not that I'm necessarily a highbrow person, but, it's something different. And I thought I would keep it. And, maybe something that will grow on me. And then coming up next here, this was probably the biggest surprise in this bunch. I was just absolutely dead certain that this was going to be a cast-off. I almost didn't bother listening to it, but I said, okay, give these CDs a fair chance. I want to keep it real on this channel, so if I didn't listen to something, I will tell you that I didn't listen to something, but I had to listen to this one. Caedmon's Call. I know that this is a Christian rock group, or Christian pop group. This is their debut album, self-titled, and if this is to be classified as Christian rock like the rest of their albums, and I mean, it does have, you can kind of just barely see it, scripture verses in the background on here on the cover. So yes, they are a Christian band, but the lyrics were the kind of stuff that I don't mind. If I'm going to listen to Christian music, it's going to be the stuff that is, the lyrics are more obliquely referencing Christian themes so that people who aren't Christian can enjoy the music and appreciate the music. As I've mentioned many times, I'm not a religious person, so Christian music is lost on me. The meaning of it is lost on me. But they surprised me. They've got a bit of a roots rock kind of a sound to them, at least on this album. Kind of reminds me of Gin Blossoms or Counting Crows, maybe. So yeah, I found this one worthy of keeping. And I'm, if only because it was such a pleasant surprise to me. So and I have to reposition that one because, hint, hint, you might be seeing it later on in this video. And this one I will have to reposition as well because you might be seeing it later on in the video. Spoiler alert. This one is Billie Myers with her debut album, Growing Pains. Now, I had actually owned this one a couple of years ago, and I can't remember if I bought it, out in the open, as a single CD, or if it was part of a grab bag. I can't remember, but I had cast it off. For some reason, I didn't find enough in it to enjoy. But when I re-listened to it, and I almost didn't listen to it to give it another chance, but as it turns out, I don't know what I didn't hear in it before that I heard in it now, but I really enjoy it. It is kind of like Dionne Farris. She is an African-American woman, but has a little bit of a rock sound to her R&B. So yeah, I really, somehow I enjoy this, and I didn't before. I don't know why. So yeah, it's a very, very good album. Nice to revisit it. So, and that is, except for the one last remaining CD, that is the breakdown. So, water break. It's snowing again. Very fine little flakes of snow. Not a heavy snowfall, but yeah, we had woke up to about 1.5 inches on the ground this morning. So, and it's been snowing off and on again all day. Nice. Another empty box. Okay. The Spotlight CD for this month is, as I mentioned, was one that was in one of the bags that I opened last month and that I already own in my collection. This guy, I have a bit of a history with him, not a personal history, but, well, let me reveal who it is. The guy's name is Ryan Cabrera, and this is his debut album, Take It All Away. And when the first several years that I lived up here in Oregon, there was a record store called Face the Music, and it closed in 2005. And somehow they got a hold of a little stack of promo CD singles of this guy's first single, which was On the Way Down. And I picked it up and picked up another one and sent it to my friend. And so he and I really enjoyed this. His singles. It was really cool. Great hooks in the album, in the songs, and very, very nice voice. And so we kind of became fans of this guy before the rest of the world, the teenagers, the MTV TRL crowd, kind of glommed onto him. And he had a pretty decent amount of success for a year or two back in the early 2000s. Yes, this album was put out in 2004. So yeah, my friend and I felt kind of special that we knew about this guy, 8-10 months before anybody else did. And we actually, my friend down in San Diego, to whom I sent one of these CDs, he actually saw him in he was like doing a bit of a mall tour or something, or maybe he was performing in a coffee shop. I can't remember, but obviously it was before he became big. And he actually had Ryan Cabrera personally autograph the CD. Actually, hang on, I can show it to you. Why didn't I get it as a prop before I started this stupid camera? I don't know. You can still hear me all the way in there, can't you? Okay, here I am. Sorry. Preparedness, yay. So yes, this is his single for On the Way Down. And, yes, I don't know if you can see it, To Tom, all the way in Oregon, I think it says, Ryan Cabrera. So, yeah, that was very cool. And then I got to meet him myself when he was doing a promotional tour at the mall up in Portland. And I got my picture taken with him. And if this had been a pre-recorded video when I was editing it, I could put the picture in here and show it to you right now, but I can't. Maybe I'll show it to you in another video, or maybe I'll put it up on my Twitter. There you go. I'll put it up on my Twitter, so watch my Twitter feed and Instagram. Maybe I'll share it to both. So yes, I actually got to meet him. Nice guy, cool stuff. But anyway, on to this album, because that's what I'm supposed to be talking about, is this album in particular. Now, to be honest, yes, here's the caveat to all the stuff that I just said, as much as I like that. I hadn't listened to this album in probably 10 years until I put it on as part of this bargain bag thing. And it's an interesting thing to listen to an album for the first time in 10 years. And he's got a great voice, as I mentioned, but unfortunately his voice kind of has just one gear. He does some upbeat songs, some ballads, and some in-between stuff, but his voice pretty much sounds the same in all of them. Not that it's a bad voice, it's just, his voice just doesn't have a whole lot of dynamics to it. And that was probably partly the fault of the producers, his handlers. The label wanted him to have a certain image, a certain feel, a certain sound. And so that's probably, I'm not blaming him himself totally for that. So it was probably the major label machine that made his stuff sound samey. So, but I enjoy the album. I'm not going to get rid of it. I don't know if any of my friends would like this kind of stuff. I'm not sure. But it's kind of sad to think that if I'd happened upon this guy now, as opposed to 20 years ago, yeah, God, it's been almost 20 years ago, that I probably would have passed this album up and I wouldn't have bought it. Just because it's, now it's not so much my thing. I'm keeping it for the sentimental, the nostalgic part of it. But yeah, still, it's a good album. If you like that kind of basic, not taking any chances pop, sorry, Ryan, you might like this. But it's kind of an artifact of its time when, the major label machine wanted artists to be a certain way, and that kind of thing. So, yeah. So, yes, some positives and some negatives for that. Yes, Ryan Cabrera, take it all away. I own the album, not going to give it up, but not one of the ones that I would necessarily have a rave opinion of now. So anyway, sorry to make that a little underwhelming, and my apologies to Ryan Cabrera. I hate to, well, I'm not trashing him, just, Anyway, now I'm already halfway through the hour, so let's go ahead and get on to my top 10, actually my top 15 favorite bargain bag CD discoveries of 2021. Now, I have notes that I did not have put up here. Excuse me. Now, a couple of notes here very quickly before I actually start the countdown. It's a list of 15 items plus 2 honorable mentions. The months that I refer to when talking about my bargain bag CDs are the breakdown months rather than the bag opening months, if that makes sense. So, in other words, my favorite bargain bag CD finds of 2021 are technically from the bags that I opened from December 2020 through November 2021. So just to clarify things like that for you. Now, as for the numbers, I always like crunching the numbers at the end of the year. Since I opened up 2 bags each month, with each bag containing 7 CDs, the math tells us that's 168 CDs over the course of the year. I kept about 40 of them, as it turns out, so that means a return of about 24% of the discs over the past year were keepers. So not a bad, that's almost a quarter of all the CDs. So hey, not bad at all, huh? The most successful months for keepers were June and July. And if memory serves, this isn't the first time that the late spring, early summer months seemed to be the most successful. I don't know why that is, if it happens to be with my mood at the time of year, I don't know. But I kept 5 discs from each of those months, but the award, if there is one, goes to June, since 3 of that month's 5 CDs are in my year-end countdown. The least successful months for keepers were February, March, and May, 2 CDs per month in each of those months. But both discs from March and both from May ended up in my year-end list, whereas only one of them from February will be in this list. So it's kind of interesting how the keepers lined up with the months in which they came out. So let's go ahead and get started with, I forgot to put down the months that I got these CDs from, but you guys probably don't care about that. My bargain bag videos are in a playlist, Bargain Bag 2021, if you want to go watch them all, if you have hours and hours to waste. Anyway, the 2 honorable mentions we have, first of all here, This Perfect Day, the self-titled album. This is kind of pop rock, sort of in the vein of the alternative rock, kind of like the more benign sounding or folky sounding alternative rock, kind of like REM, maybe the Gin Blossoms, maybe that kind of stuff. So perfectly innocuous stuff, but still fun and kind of catchy. I enjoyed that stuff. The other honorable mention is Abena and her album Tuesday's Child. This was kind of like, I kind of got the feeling when I saw the cover art originally, and it turns out my hunch was right, kind of like soul R&B stuff, kind of like Sade or maybe Laura Mvula. kind of jazzy R&B is basically what I was trying to say. So yeah, very enjoyable stuff. I guess when it turns out to be what I was kind of expecting it to be, that's when somehow, for some reason, I tend to enjoy it. This next one, number 15, starting off my countdown at number 15, is one you just saw a minute ago. It is Caedmon's Call, the debut self-titled album. And it's one of the big reasons it's number 15 on my countdown is because it was such a pleasant surprise to me. I expected to get nothing out of that CD, and I ended up enjoying it more than I thought I would. Number 14, we have a industrial rock group this one was back in like April or May, I think it was. 9 Electric is the name of the artist, and The Damaged Ones is the name of the album. Kind of like in the kind of industrial rock, like Stabbing Westward or Econoline Crush is another group of theirs of that genre that I like. Very good stuff. And yeah, the lyrics obviously don't go into the screaming, don't cross the screaming borderline. So, oh, the snow is coming down. I wish I could point the camera out the window and show you the snow. Anyway, number 13 on my list is Hello Vertigo by Papa Vegas. I had heard of this group, but I don't think I'd ever heard any of their music until I got this stuff. Alt rock kind of stuff, vaguely in the vein of Sugar Ray, but a little bit more rockish than Sugar Ray. Sugar Ray's a little more pop. But yeah, good stuff. I enjoyed that. And then number 12 is another group that they kind of border on industrial rock, not quite so much. And this is actually an album that I had owned a long, long time ago, got rid of for reasons unknown now that I had a chance to rediscover it and re-listen to it. The self-titled album by the Din Pedals. And one thing I love about this album was just the artwork. Just something about the artwork and the font that they used and the fact that the guys are all in silhouette and the color palette and just something about it that I really enjoyed. But yes, and also to satisfy my penchant, if you will, for distinctive voices. The lead vocalist has a very, very distinctive voice, kind of off-key on purpose in some ways. So it takes a little getting used to. His voice is not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but still very, very good stuff. Ashtray was one of the standouts here. Not Much for Saturdays is another good standout song on there. So yes, excellent group. Now, number 11 is one that I was almost a cast-off. I almost got rid of it, and I decided to give it another chance. It is an album by a group called D.A.R.K., or Dark. This is their album Science Agrees, and this album was put out in 2016, but in a way it was oddly prescient, because the team name of the album is Science Agrees, and they're all wearing face coverings. Yes. 4 years before the pandemic hit. They were all already prepared. But anyway, this has Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries, as well as some guy from, I can't remember. Sorry, I cannot remember who the other guy was from. You can look it up on Wikipedia, but the music sounds like a blend of the Cranberries, since Dolores O'Riordan is the lead vocalist, and that other group is like a new wave group from the 80s or 90s, synthwave kind of group. But yeah, good stuff on there. Yeah. Then into our top 10 on this list. The American Idol fans out there will be satisfied with my number 10 pick, Melinda Doolittle, with her album Coming Back to You. Good stuff, great R&B stuff. I think she was, if I recall, she didn't even make it into the top 5 in her year of American Idol. I may be totally wrong, but this album proves that they were kind of wrong. They made the wrong decision there. Kind of like, what's her name? The one that's the huge actress and singer now. She finished like number 6. My brain is just not with it today. I guess maybe I need to prepare better notes. And number 9 here. Now, several of these ones that I picked as my finalists are because these artists, listening to the Bargain Bag CDs, compelled me to get other albums by them. And this is one of I think I said like 5 or 6 of them in this list that is the case with. And this is Michael Penn with his album Free for All. And yes, this album, I liked it enough that it made me get, this is his sophomore album. I picked up his debut album. And then when I was in, I believe I was in Oklahoma and picked up his third album, or maybe that was in Portland. I can't remember. All my CD buying episodes are blurring together now at the end of the year. But yes, very good stuff, kind of folk rock kind of stuff, singer-songwriter folk rock. Very good stuff. And number 8 is another one that we just saw a few minutes ago. This is a keeper from this month. It is Billy Myers. Yeah, I'm still baffled as to what it was that I didn't hear that, year and a half, 2 years ago that I listened to it and got rid of it. So, yeah, good stuff. I'm glad to have rediscovered it. And number 7, if you recall, this was about mid-year, maybe August or September. There were actually 2 of this artist's CDs in, not sure if they were in the same bag or in, one each in the 2 bags that I did that month, but Des'ree. This is her debut album, I Ain't Movin'. And yes, I kept this one as well as her follow-up that were both in the bargain bags. And when I was at Epic Seconds just a few weeks ago, I found her debut album in the $1 section. So I picked it up, and so yeah, very good, excellent R&B artist from the late 90s, no, 1994. The year 1994 has popped up a lot in this video, hasn't it? So, but yeah, excellent artist. Yes, it was kind of cool how that 1 month of bargain bag, I kind of had an instant collection of hers. Yes, 2 CDs qualifies as a collection, right? Anything more than 1 qualifies as a collection, in my opinion. Number 6 on my list is yet another one that prompted me to go on a bit of a discography accumulation spree of hers, just because, and also because I was just so surprised that I actually enjoyed this one. Sarah Brightman with her album La Luna. This one, let's see, it had a couple of covers on it that I really enjoyed. A Wider Shade of Pale, the Procol Harum song. She does an interesting cover of that one. And I can't remember, there was another cover on here that I thought that I really enjoyed, or maybe that was on a different CD of hers that I picked up after this one because I like this one so much. But yeah, kind of like Enya, basically, or Sarah McLachlan, maybe. So kind of a cross between those two. So yeah, kind of like Enya, but with a little bit more of a beat to the songs. So yeah, really good stuff. Now, number 5, technically this kind of blurs the line between a keeper and otherwise because, oh, you can kind of see I haven't shaved in a few days. Sorry. Because I actually had a different version of a compilation by this artist, and this is another compilation by ABC, an 80s pop group. This is called Absolutely ABC. I actually had the 20th Century Millennium Collection version, which had fewer tracks, so I opted to keep this one. It has, 15 tracks? No, 17. Yeah, 13 songs and 4 remixes. So yes, these guys this was one of the lesser known and unjustifiably so groups from the 80s. They didn't get quite the glory that a lot of the other 80s groups did. The songs Poison Arrow and The Look of Love, you will probably recognize if you heard them. And Be Near Me is another great song. That actually might be my favorite of those 3. So yes, check out ABC if you have not yet. They were a great unsung group of the 80s. Now on to number 4. This is an instrumental or mostly instrumental group. And again, this is one that I found another CD by later on. This is a group called Wazoo. They were actually a local group from in the greater Eugene, Oregon area. And this is their album Zoophoria. And I was at Epic Seconds like 2 or 3 months later, not even looking for them. And in the $1 section, I found another CD by them. So it's like, score. And yeah, these guys are kind of a funk jazz group. And as I recall, I think a couple of the songs have vocals, not very many of them. But some of the song titles on this album in particular, Wilbur's Heinous Ruckus. I love the name of that song, what can I say? And Hippopotamus, as well as Subway Shuffle. Plaid Shadow, that's another interesting song on here. So yeah, great entertaining group, and yes, they're probably not to be found. Oh, I don't know, maybe they can be found on a streaming service. These CDs were done in the late 90s, I think, so it was before the era of streaming services, but who knows? If you look for Lazoo, maybe you'll find them on a streaming service. Who knows? But yes, good stuff. Number 3 on my list. Goodness, this video is going to be an entire hour, if not a little bit more maybe. Number 3 on my list is Celine Dion with her album Falling Into You. Yes, some of you are going to cringe and roll your eyes and shrug your shoulders at it, but this is mainly because, well, I mean, first of all, she has a knockout voice. You cannot deny that Celine Dion has a spectacular voice. It is truly a diva quality voice, but also because this album pleasantly surprised me. I expected to be bored out to tears, listening to this. Yes, I can speak, listening to this, but I was surprised. She does a rendition of River Deep, Mountain High, the great Motown song. I think it was a Motown song. So, and yes, and All By Myself, which was another song that was made famous by somebody else. But yeah. And yes, this prompted me to pick up 2 or 3 other Celine Dion CDs since then. So what can I say? And then number 2, my runner-up for favorite bargain bag CD discovery of the year. I like this one so much that I actually rebought it when I found it someplace else, because not only was the original bargain bag version of the CD a bit, the condition of it was a little bit scratched up, but it was also missing its outer sleeve. This is Poi Dog Pondering with their album Natural Thing. And again, this led me to pick up not just 1 or 2 others of their albums, but 4 other albums of theirs. This is their 5th, and so I picked up numbers 1 through 4 and really enjoyed this stuff. I've been in a bit of a world music inspired pop rock kind of a thing, and Poi Dog Pondering fits into there. Rusted Root is another artist that kind of fits that mold that I've gotten into lately. So, and these guys were great. I tell the story of I would have to look up the month that I unearthed this one, or either unearthed or broke down this one. The story in it how I discovered this group and found out about them. It was by way of a 90s sitcom on TV. One of their songs was used in a sitcom. So interesting, entertaining story. I might have to point you to the video at some point. Maybe when I put the chapter markers in on this video, I'll try and put up a little card thing up there, wherever it would go. Okay, now, number 1. Hey, Garrett, how's it going? Number 1 in my list of my favorite bargain bag finds of 2021 is She by Harry Connick Jr. Yes, I have mentioned before that Harry Connick Jr. has been kind of hit and miss. His albums have been hit and miss. Great vocalist, and he's got kind of a spirit and liveliness to a lot of his songs. But the New Orleans jazz kind of thing has never been a favorite subgenre of jazz. But I've revisited a couple of his albums since I picked this one up. This is actually one that I had owned a long time ago, gave up, and rediscovered through a bargain bag find. And yeah, I've come to appreciate him a little bit more and gotten some more of his CDs since then, some that I hadn't had before and some that I had had before. So, but yes, this is more on the rock and funk side rather than the jazz side. So this is a little bit funkier than his other albums, but this has, I believe, what was his most successful single, I Could Only Whisper Her Name, which is a favorite song of mine from the era. This is early 90s? No, 1994. I guess you could turn this video into a drinking game. Every time you hear the word 1994, take a shot. Anyway, I am hereby not responsible for any alcohol poisoning as a result of that. That's my disclaimer. Anyway, number 1 on my favorite bargain bag CD finds of 2021 is She by Harry Connick Jr. How's that for a countdown? I hope you guys enjoyed that. But don't click away yet, because as I put this stuff back, I'm going to open actually not 1 but 2 of the newly formed the phase 2 CD bargain bags. I actually ended up making more than 24, so I actually have a couple of extras. So I thought I would give you guys double the fun by opening up 1 and 2 mystery CD grab bags. Now, to give you a little bit of rundown, for those of you who might have missed a video previously, each of these bags has 8 CDs in it, as opposed to the old Skips bags only had 7 in them. And I will usually only be doing 1 per month, because just partly so I can get rid of this, knock down the huge backlog of listening that I have. If I have less of this stuff to listen to, I have more time to devote to taking care of other stuff. But I wanted to make an exception for this, in this case, for the first month of the new year. And so I think I will, oh, and what I'm going to be doing with the, going forward and then starting next year with Bargain Bag is I will be basically be running down the CD, well, as I did before, in rough order from my least favorite to my most favorites. And excuse me, and my most favorite of that month will be the Spotlight CD. I won't just be choosing a random CD from my collection to do as a spotlight. And also, these bags will typically have more well-known artists in them. So a lot of these won't be, you know, filled with, you know, who the heck are they artists. So, and yes, I assembled these bags myself, but it's been, what did I figure, 4 months it's been since I did it. And plus, I put them all together all at once. So it's a complete blur up here as to what's in each of these bags. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. This is where the fun begins, as Han Solo said. Here we have, oh yeah, Ben Harper and the Innocent Criminals. I think it's Burn to Shine. Yes, I've kind of been curious about checking these guys out. And so, yeah, they're kind of like in the same vague vein as Lenny Kravitz-ish kind of stuff. Jack Johnson, maybe, although I think Jack Johnson's a little more folk. But yeah, I thought I would give that a try and see what I like, see what I think of it. And next we have, oh, Lee Oskar with the album So Much in Love. I believe this guy is a jazz artist. And I have heard about him, you know, pretty much almost all the ones that I've picked for these bargain bags are ones that I have at least heard of, not necessarily ever heard. But yeah, I wanted to give his jazz stuff a try. And then number 3, we have the Marcus Roberts Trio, Time and Circumstance. This is jazz also. So yeah, another one that I wanted to give a shot at. And yeah, it was kind of fun. I don't know if I remember. Oh, I'll finish this back and then I'll tell you the other backstory. We have, oh, J-Lo. Yes, this is her self-titled album, Jennifer Lopez. Never listened to a Jennifer Lopez album before. So, and I'm not sure if I've even listened to any of her singles. So I figured, hey, this gives me an excuse to check out a lot of artists that I've always kind of wanted to check out and never have. Then we have Queen Latifah. I have her 2 jazz albums, the Dana Owens album and Travelin' Light, I believe is its sequel. Excuse me. But I've never checked out her hip-hop stuff. So, and again, this gave me the excuse to do that. So, what else do we have here? We have Soul Live, and I believe this is a jazz or jazz R&B kind of group. Oh, it's on the Blue Note label, so I'm pretty sure it is jazz. So yeah, and it's a live album. So give it a try. Why not? Then we have, oh, Big Head Todd and the Monsters. I've heard about these guys, you know, an endless number of times, but again, never checked out their stuff. They are, I'm pretty sure, a rock group. I don't know if they are of a particular subgenre of rock, but that's what putting them in these bargain bags is for, to give them a listen. And let's see, the final, didn't quite do that one, the throwback for that one that I wanted to do. Oh, Velvet Revolver. And this is actually one that I had listened to a long time ago, got rid of because at the time it wasn't my thing. So I kind of know what it is, what to expect of it. It's hard rock. It's a super group with, I can't remember who it is in it by now. And I've gotten a little bit more fond of the slightly harder, or the harder kind of rock than I used to be. I used to not be a Bon Jovi fan particularly, and now I have all of their albums. So there you go. It's one that I'm hoping my recently evolved changes in music taste maybe will gain me a new appreciation for these guys. And yeah, before I dig into the second bag here, yeah, one thing that made me get all these bags and put them all together is because at Epic Seconds, their dollar CD section, the CDs are normally $1. I went in one day in late August, and they had little signs taped on there: 4 CDs for $1. So yes, 25 cents per disc. And and all this. I mean, you're seeing some of the stuff I'm getting out of here. So yeah, 25 cents for each of these. So I figured if I'm going to make up mystery CD grab bags for next year, even if I have to do it myself, there's the reason to do it. So there you go. That is why you guys are getting another 2 years probably of bargain bag. So into the second bag. And yes, I think I mentioned this already, but yes, this is going to be the only month that I will be opening 2 bags. And I'm not sure yet if I'm going to be really breaking down all of these in the January video or just my top 8. I don't know. But anyway, first one out of this bag is, Andreas Vollenweider. I have never checked him out. He is kind of a new agey sort of artist. So, I figure he's again one of the artists that I've heard mention of time and time again, but just never checked out. I think I turned it out this way. Then we have Shania Twain. You see the stuff that I got for $1/4 a disc? It's like, why not? Yes, this is her "The Woman in Me." An excuse to check out Shania Twain. Heard good things about her. Never checked her out. And I've gotten a little bit more fond of country music over the last couple of years. So. Then we have Carrie Rodriguez with "She Ain't Me." And I'm not sure who this is, but it is on the Manhattan label of EMI Records Group. And that used to be at least a jazz label, but I think they branched out into rock and folk and other genres. So. And possibly R&B. This could be R&B for all I know. I'm not sure. But yeah, that was one of the ones that I had never heard of before, so I thought I'd take a chance on. And then we have, CeCe Peniston. And does this one have "Finally" in it? I don't think it does, because I looked at it when I picked it up, and it did not have that track in it. But since that's the only song of hers that I know, I figure why not check out a whole album and see if she should be more famous than for just that one song. So there you go. "Thought You Knew" is the name of that album. And then we have a Still Sealed album, LeAnn Rimes, "You Light Up My Life," inspirational songs. So this may be leaning toward the Christian side, but I figured, what the heck, give LeAnn Rimes a try. Again, another country artist that I have never really given a try. Then we have Brian McKnight. "I Remember You" is the name of this one. And if memory serves, this is not the only time you'll see Brian McKnight in this phase of bargain bags, not just in this, not in this bag. But I made a point of not putting more than 1 CD by a single artist in each bag. So, but yes, if memory serves, I picked up 2 or possibly 3 Brian McKnight CDs in putting together all these bags. So. Then we have, Anita Baker and her album "Giving You the Best That I Got." And don't I already have this one? Maybe I don't. I didn't think I already had it. We're going to find out. But hey, Anita Baker is one of those great R&B soul voices of the 80s. I'm somewhat familiar with some of her hits. And now let's. The bags are too deep, I think, is what the problem is. There we go. And then we have Rachel Z, another artist that, as you can see from my quizzical expression, I have never heard of before until I just decided to pick up her album. "Love Is the Power" is the name of this one. So, how's about that? I have a new crop of bargain bag CDs. So yes, you can see the $1 stickers on here, which they were on special for 25 cents each. So yes, I think this is going to be a great, fun year for, 2 years, if all goes to plan, for bargain bag. Yes, I am kind of loading myself down for going into January, but I think January and February probably are going to be fairly quiet months for my channel. Even though I actually looked the other day and there are 3 new releases coming out in January that I want to pick up. It's an unusually busy January. As I recall, historically January has been a fairly quiet month, but for some reason this month, yeah, I've got 3 CDs or 3 albums coming out that I want to check out. But February looks pretty dead so far. So if I don't get through all these CDs in January, I might leave half of them for February. We'll see. But anyway, we have reached 1 hour. Gosh, and I haven't stopped for the entire hour. I think this is maybe the first, regularly scheduled, well, regularly-ish, because Sunday is not my usual day, Thomas Hit Parade Live that I have gone over my prescribed hour. So anyway, without further ado, without keeping you for any longer, that'll do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, hit that like button and share it with your friends. And give me your thoughts, questions, suggestions, or constructive criticisms in the comment section below. Also, scroll down to the description for the links to my Twitter and Instagram feeds and links to my favorite fellow YouTubers who are all worth checking out. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and browse my past videos, and be sure to ring that notifications bell so you'll be the first to know each time I drop a new video. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next weekend with my year-end spectacularish. And remember, life's too short to be a music snob. See you guys.